Just 2 weeks behind Knox Johnson, he continued eastwards for another lap of the Southern Ocean to save my soul, as he put it. This is the real solo race, sailing like it's 1968.
Forcément, tous les gens qui reviendront de la Golden Globe Race, forcément, il faut s'attendre à ce qu'ils aient changé.
It's a great story and it's the 50th anniversary, and it's a great opportunity to relive the original solo sailing when technology wasn't available, where we're just using sextants and wind-up clocks to find your position. And it's really the story of humanity and human endeavour in the extreme. So the world has never seen anything like this event.
Well, g'day everybody. Here we go again. Another session of live with our crazy Irishman, Patrick from Ireland, who I've warned, said, Pat, you have to talk really slowly. Otherwise, we're all going to be in deep trouble. I know the French don't like it when I speak fast. So here's our Irishman. G'day, Pat. How are you?
Good, John.
Can you hear me?
Hello, Jim.
Yeah, okay. That's good. Good to see you. So I think you're number 8 or 9. I forgot, lost track already. But anyway, good to see you. Where are you right now? I'm in Hobart, but what about you?
I'm in the southwest of Ireland, Ballyferth, or west of Dingle, the bit that sticks out.
West of Dingle. There's that Dingle word again. There's something about it. But anyway, so good to see you. I'm trying to think. We usually mention the latest news on the GGR, but not a lot happening. I know Gurav was all excited because he's getting a Cape Horn wind vane on the back of his boat, I think it was, and he's got his new engine in his boat. And Mike Dates apparently out sailing now. That's about all. There hasn't been a lot happening here. So what have you been up to, Pat? Before we get into that, if anyone's got a question, obviously you can put it in comments, and we'll answer any legitimate questions. And we'll just see what happens. So what are you up to, Pat?
I'm working on the boat a good bit for the last few weeks. We were in lockdown. We couldn't get to the boats for about 2 months. So we can do maintenance then for a month. So for the last week, we could actually sail. But I'm not ready to go sailing.
So let's go back to the beginning, because this is all about finding out who you are. I know you've got a great story about your dad, and he probably had a big influence. But what happened to you? What got you into sailing, and how?
When we were young, my father brought us in an Avogue. It's a traditional West Kerry boat, a curragh. It's canvas over timber lats, like the Brendan Voyage boat. He had one of those. We used to go camping every weekend down the river. It was lovely. And then it developed. He built a sailing boat out of plywood, and it developed from there. I sailed dinghies when we was later on, sailing courses and dinghies, and it evolved.
It evolved. Okay. And so your dad was obviously, I know about your dad. So just tell us a quick story on what your dad did and how he did it, because obviously that then had a big influence on you getting into keel boats and stuff.
Yeah, my dad, at the age of about 58, actually you probably met him. 1986, he sailed to Newport in a folk boat, and the BOC boats were there. He was delighted. You were chairman, I think, that year of the BOC.
Yeah, that's right. I honestly can't remember. I could have, but I'm getting too old to remember those things now. But yeah, I was there as chairman. You're right. Oh, the Sydney stopover. Sir Robin was chairman of the race, but I was chairman for the Sydney stopover. But anyway, that's cool. So he must have enjoyed that.
So he sailed to America in 1986, sailed home 1987 in a folk boat. Then he tried to sail around the world in the folk boat and broke his rudder off Cape Town. And then he got another boat and sailed around, coming through Panama because he didn't.
you make it all sound so simple, but there's some good stories there. But anyway, that's what he did. This was the boat that he sailed in. Just describe that. So this is the one that he got it solo around the world.
Yeah, she's a sea dog, a ketch. She's designed for the Solent. She only is 3'5" of a draft. The main keel is a long keel, and the two built keels are water tanks, which keeps her standing upright on sand or mud. So she's shallow draft, lovely.
A quick synopsis of all the things that went wrong. Just quickly, keep it moving.
Yeah. Well, he had to abandon the folk boat when the rudder broke, 1,200 miles west of Cape Town. Then he started again in the Sea Dog, and he got disorientated in the doldrums, and he came home. And then the third time he started again, and when he sailed Cape Town, Albany, Hobart, or Bluff Island, Bluff, and then after he left Bluff, he broke one of the cross trees broke, and he tried to climb up and fix it, and he got a hernia. So he used the spinnaker pole as a kind of a jury rig and sailed to Valparaiso, went through Panama and home.
Okay. So so that obviously got you into where you are now, wanting to have a go yourself. Like, how did the connection happen to the GGR?
I was watching, my brother John rang me about 2 months before it started to say this race was starting, and I started to watch it, and I kind of got enjoying it, but I was saying, who the feck would do that? Only madmen. Like, I never thought I would do it, but I slowly got hooked. And then when Gregor got dismasted and had to abandon the boat, I was shattered. It was every day was a chapter, and I remember that. And it's kind of after that. It crept up on me. I didn't expect it to, but it did creep up on me, and I'm delighted I entered.
So like you're into building special timber furniture and things, but you're a fisherman for a while as well. You're working up there on fishing boats, right?
Yeah, fishing. When I was young, we used to go sailing. After I got a bit old to go with my father, we used to go sailing down the river and out to sea a bit. And we always stopped. There was no marinas anywhere on the west coast, so we'd stop and tie beside fishing boats, and we got on very well with them. Once we got up at 4 o'clock in the morning and moved. So yeah, and then I decided to go fishing, and I had some fantastic years fishing off the west coast.
So how many years were you fishing up there?
About 10 years, seriously fishing, and then I was lobster fishing and making furniture. If you're going through winters fishing off in the North Atlantic off the west of Ireland, you'll meet weather. Maybe not as bad as the Southern Ocean, but you'll meet. I have seen weather, but not on small yachts.
Because I know, I watch all the entrants in the GGR, and you went and bought the Saga up in Northern Europe, and then you quickly sailed it around to Le Sable d'Olonne for the prize giving, and then since then you've never stopped sailing it. So you give me the impression you're completely relaxed in the ocean. You're just sailing everywhere, because I know there's other entrants that are not at that level yet. You know what I mean? Like you haven't, like you really feel at one with the sea, right?
Yeah, I always felt safe and comfortable at sea. I'd actually feel more comfortable and safe at sea than on land quite often.
Yeah. And so your boat, I mean, an absolute classic. There's a really good shot here. It's a very solid, big 36-foot canoe stern boat. Just tell me your feeling on that boat. I love it, but what do you feel about your boat?
I bought her for safety. I did look at a Biscay's rustlers, but I bought her for safety because she's good, strong. She'll take weight. There were some long, narrow boats that were cheap, not long, narrow, but I went for that for safety. But I'm delighted she's faster than I expected.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a bonus. Yeah.
Okay, and she doesn't really need much of a refit, because you're concentrating on the rig. But what's your plan getting it ready for the race?
I'll have to get rid of the T-balls and put a sleeve up the mast.
That's getting too technical. A lot of people won't know what T-balls are, but anyway.
Well, tangs hang off the mast with a bolt through. I'll be putting in tangs, and the T-balls sit into the side of the mast and hook down and riveted on.
Yeah. Okay. And so you've just rebuilt the mast, and while it was out, you did your jury rig trials. So that went pretty well.
Yeah, it was fantastic. It was so easy. See, the poles are quite light to put up, and once you had a good system, it went. I was amazed at how easy it was because I didn't really plan too much. The red sail in the front of the boat, I had it off another old boat, and I measured the luff. It's upside down, but it fitted that way. I measured the luff, and I brought an old stay off the old rigging, and I had it the right length. So once I got it up, I had to put it up and down a few times, but like it sailed. I didn't have that much wind. 18, 20 knots was the most, but you do 2.5 knots, and the self steering would work. I'd imagine if I was doing it and had to go a distance, I'd actually use 2 poles like a ketch.
Yeah.
For a bit more sailing.
Yeah, that's cool. All right. So what do you see now as your biggest challenge, and except for getting to the start line? What is your biggest big deal? For the GGR.
I'm not too worried. Finance, I suppose, would be one of them, but I'm not too worried actually. I'm halfway there, and I don't have any loans yet. But but finance, I will have to raise money.
Yeah.
So finance is one thing.
And what about family? What's the story? Family and kids and so on. Where do you sit there?
Yeah, they're cool enough. They're used to me. Like if you go fishing, when you go fishing, you're away for 7 to 10 days and home for a day and away 7, 10 days. And when I was fishing in Rockall, I'd land in Killybegs. Sometimes I wouldn't be home for 3 months. So they're kind of used to that.
So what's the family? You're obviously married. How many kids?
I have 4 children. My wife Rita and 4 children. Yeah, the youngest now is 19. Deirdre's.
Okay.
So by the time the race comes, she'll be reared.
Yeah. So are they excited about what you're doing, or they just think, "Oh, okay, ho hum"?
They are. They're excited. Once or twice they ask me, "Is it dangerous?" And yeah, but no, they're excited. It's cool. Yeah, all good.
Okay. And all right, let's get into some word associations just to see where you sit. This tells us a lot about who you are. Okay. So just tell me the first thing that comes into your mind. You ready?
Yeah.
Potatoes.
Chips, roast.
Teak.
Sorry?
Teak.
Teak.
Timber.
Good
Teak.
quality.
Wood.
Good quality timber.
Okay. Brexit.
Brexit. I'm glad I'm not in the UK.
Life.
Life, short and sweet, no trial run.
Mother.
Love.
Impossible.
Nothing.
Holidays.
Boats.
Swimming.
Oh, I love freedom.
Dreams.
Dreams. Oh. They're nice, good. I don't know. Yeah, nice.
Birds.
Feathered.
Fish.
Yeah. Well, albatross.
Okay. Cold.
Cold. Warm.
Fear.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Vendée Globe.
Excitement and speed.
Okay. Loser.
Oh, I don't know. End of life.
Panic.
Stress.
Okay, that'll do. I haven't got too many laughs there yet. Pick a number between 1 and 10.
5.
How did you meet your best friend?
Oh, I only have a few, but I have to pick one. At Lunker Boat Club. At Lunker Boat Club.
You what?
At Lunker Boat Club. It's a rowing club in Limerick.
You drunk and
No,
I give up on that one.
At Lunkard. It's a rowing club in Limerick.
Ah, I
Rowing.
see. Okay, gotcha. All right, moving right along. number between 10 and 20?
12.
12. To date, what's the best thing you've ever done?
Get married.
Okay. Why?
I met a lovely woman, Colleen Kuhn. Colleen Kuhn is always quite girl, yeah.
Yep. Okay. Between 20 and 30.
22, my number.
What's your favourite bird?
Gannet.
A gannet. Okay. Between 30 and 40.
30 and 40. 32.
32. What would the perfect you be like?
Much better. Much better than I am. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Between 40 and 47.
46.
46. Are you a leader or a follower? And why?
Oh, God. I'd say a follower. I don't lead. I like to be in the background. Why? I don't like limelight so much. Even though I entered this race, I'd rather be inconspicuous.
Okay, that's fine. You're going to have a lot of Irish fans all around the world. You know that. They're crazy. They go nuts. When Gregor was going around, they came out from everywhere. So, okay, a letter between A and N.
L. For Lawless.
L. Okay. Oh, okay. If you ate yourself, would you become twice as big or completely disappear, and why?
I'd disappear. I wouldn't get to the end. It would be difficult because.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So on that note, we might, it's always good fun to see what's going on. Now, there's a bit of a shuffle here. We've got Graham Dalton from New Zealand. We're going to have him up next week. So he should be sitting here. There he is. I'm going to bring him into the picture right now and say g'day to Graham. Hello, Graham. Can you hear me?
G'day, Don. Good afternoon. I mean, good evening, Don. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. It's morning your time.
Can you hear me?
I think, if I remember rightly. So where are you?
Well,
tell me where you are.
Yes, in Auckland, and the weather's not too great. Yeah, the weather's not too good. I mean, it's winter here, like it's winter in Tasmania. But basically, I'm stuck here.
Okay, and you met Pat. Say g'day to Pat. We had a chat before we came on air. So
How are
you know
you,
about
Pat?
the crazy Irish.
Good to see you.
Good to see you, Graham.
You're good to see you, Pat.
Okay, so we're going to be talking to you big time next week, Graham. And the first thing I got to say is you were confidential for some time. You've only just came out of the closet, so to speak, a few months ago. What was all that about?
Well, I saw no need to announce. I hadn't done anything. I was just an entrant, and I could just go and do my own thing. Yeah.
Okay. So you haven't done anything, like you haven't sailed around the world before or anything like that, or you know. I'm leading into the question.
Yeah, I'm quite private. I mean, I'm not shy, Don.
Yeah. But anyway, so
Give me your what? Sorry, you broke up.
Okay, I'm just trying to give a
you
lead.
broke up.
It's a quick lead in to say that you've done quite a lot of sailing, and in my opinion, you're one of the hot prospects for the GGR, and you've got a very special boat. You've got John Luke's boat. So that was always your plan?
I wouldn't really agree with you, Don. I think I've got respect for everybody that goes across the start line, and it's not necessarily the fastest boat will win. There isn't a lot of difference between the boats. It's how they're sailed, and how they're prepared. but you're also going to need a little bit of luck. I don't think you're necessarily a favourite or one of the favourites. You get out there on the start line, we're all equal.
Yeah, I was just trying to get you unsettled to start with, you know what I mean? But there's three groups that I often talk about in the GGR. There's the ones at the top there's the group up number one that all out to try and win the race. There's group number two that just want to get around, but they want to go as fast as best they can. And then there's group number three that just want to get around. And you're very competitive, so I know you're up there. But anyway, we can talk about that at length later on. Pat, Graham's got another bloody rustler. You've got a Saga 36. Why are you going to beat Graham in his rustler?
Why am I going to beat him? I don't know.
Yeah.
His rustler nearly pitch pole coming into Bay Biscuit at the finish. So
Right.
he won't be able to drive it very well, or I'll be able to drive mine. I'm also studying to be a druid, which will help me a lot, I think.
Okay, that's fair enough. So what's your secret weapon, Graham, to get around and try and knock off the 36? Because I know I've said this a couple of times, Mark Slats has a high regard for the Saga 36. He thinks it's a pretty hot boat. So you're worried about Pat sort of knocking you off or what?
I don't concern myself about anybody, Don. I just concern myself about myself and doing what I can do. And you can prepare as well as you can. You can sail as hard as you like. And if there's someone that does a better job than you, well, good luck to them. But if at the end of it, if you can look at yourself in the mirror when you're having a shave, you've got nothing to be ashamed of, whether you're first, second, or last.
Okay, this is a very good conversation we're having here. I hope everyone's listening, even though he's a Kiwi. Graham and I have a bit of fun regularly because I'm an Aussie, he's a Kiwi. We'll talk about your shirt next week, so you got to wear the same shirt next week, Graham.
Okay, but I mean, you do realise, Dom, that it's hard to get back into New Zealand at the moment because all the New Zealanders are coming back. So there's a wait list. A lot of them are coming from Australia. You didn't have a very high IQ over there to start with. And now with all the Kiwis coming back, I think you're screwed because your IQ is going to drop right through the country.
Well, let's wait and see what happens. But, I'm bailing out. I've got permission to get out. So I'm heading to France in September. But anyway, that's another story. Okay, so I might put you on the side now, Graham, because we're going to talk to you about all sorts of things later on. I don't want to use up the audience, but you can rest assured the discussion next week with Graham and I is going to be more than interesting. We'll think of mutual abuse that we can throw at each other, and we'll talk a little bit about GGR. So before I cut you off, anything you'd like to say, Graham? And don't talk about your brother because in case people didn't realise, I tried to give you a chance, Graham, and say your claim to fame was sailing, but it's really your brother.
I wouldn't disagree.
Yeah. So Graham comes from a
You won't get a rise out of me, McIntyre.
Okay. Anyway, we outnumber you. There's how many? There's 6
I didn't come
Aussies
down in the last
GGR,
shower.
only one little Kiwi, so that could be a problem.
Yeah, who for?
Okay, you win.
The 6 Kiwis or the 6 Aussies or me?
Yeah, okay. I got to concentrate on Pat here a bit. So, Pat, what's your biggest fear? Like actually when you're sailing the course. So once you're on the water, you're starting to sail down the Atlantic, and you're looking at the rest of the race. What's your biggest fear at that point?
I'd say my biggest fear would be losing the mast.
Yeah. So what are you going to do to solve that?
Oh, I'm working on it morning, noon, and night in my mind, and on the mast as well. So, just to make the mast as strong as I can. I'll try and keep the boat light, but I won't spare on the mast. If I need anything on the mast, it will go on, even if it's heavier.
And Okay, and so what's the most fun thing for you about the GGR? Like the one thing that's the real buzz factor for being involved?
Anything that's new is good. You know, I said earlier, there's no trial run in this life. It's you only get one go at it, and it's nice. I'm really delighted I entered it, and it's just meeting all the nice people, and it's just a challenge of it as well as a part of it. And like I did enter to try and win. Doesn't mean I'm going to win. If 30 make it to the start, it'll be 30-1. But that's a part of the challenge. I wouldn't have entered this if it wasn't a race. The main reason I entered it is because it's a race. So I think that's the best thing, that I have a chance. Is not a great chance, you know. Like there's a lot of, like Graham and Robin, there's a lot of very experienced sailors in this. So it's just a matter of trying your best, and having a chance is one of the best things about it.
Yeah, too true. Okay, and so what about when you're so how are you sort of funding? Are you just like funding and sponsorship and so on? Are you hoping to find a sponsor, or are you looking to be as Corinthian as you can?
No, I don't want to be Corinthian, even if I could afford to, which I can't, because I do believe it's a chance for Irish companies to promote themselves in the big world. But I'm going to have 3 raffles before Christmas to raise money, with prize money less than 5,000. And if the prize money is less than 5,000, it will be easy. Now, anyone that heard about it has straight away offered me prizes, so there's no problem with prizes. So hopefully that'll raise a nice bit of money for me.
So your budget for the race is one of the lower budgets, but you've got a really good boat, and I think that's the key to your budget scenario. It's not as if you're going, with a bad boat or an uncompetitive boat. You've got a really good boat. But do you talk about your budgets? What do you think your total budget to buy your boat, do the race, and cross the finish line is going to run out at? If you're talking about it, I think you are. But if you don't want to say anything, don't say anything.
No, fine. I'd say, talking to all the people who did the last race down in the Sables Salon last April 12 months, they all went over budget. So I might go over budget, but I'd say I have 60 spent, and if I could get away with another 60, so that'll bring me up to 120.
So that's euro or pounds?
Euro.
About 120 euro to buy the boat and do the race with everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Graham, what do you reckon your budget will run out of if you're talking about it? Graham, did you hear that? What's
you're talking
what
to
sort
me,
of
Don?
budget do you reckon
Yeah.
you're running with? Yeah.
Well, with all the travel and then accommodation in Lasalle, because I'll be based out of there, I think you'd be looking at euro, probably 180 to 200.
Yeah, that's buying the boat, getting everything done, and going for it. About 200,000 euro.
Yes.
Yeah, that's cool. And then at the end of the day, you could actually sell the boat for half that or sort of thing, and so it's costing about 100,000 all up if you sold it at the end.
It probably is. Yep.
Yeah. That's cool. That's fair enough. That all sounds pretty cool. Okay, so the time is ticking. So I'm going to say goodbye. Oop, I just lost my lights. I'm going to say goodbye to you, Graham, and then I'll just finish off here with Pat, and then I'll look forward to seeing you next week, I think.
Bye, Graham.
Okay, nice to see you, Pat. And I'll see you later,
hang on, I've got
Don.
to check. No questions for you. Okay, so I'm going to say bugger off. This is the best part about you and I talking here, Graham. I can just tell you to tick off or say bugger off and turn you off. I know everyone turns you on, but, see you next week.
Yeah, well, the best part is starting the race, Don, is when I let go the dock lines and I see you on the dock crying because you're so sorry to see me go.
Yeah, right. Okay. All right. See you next week. Bugger off. Boom. Anyway. All right, Pat. So what's the So the next stage for you, what's the program like to get between here to the start line? I know you've just put the mask back in and all that sort of stuff. Just run through a simple synopsis of where you're going to be and what you're doing over the next 2 years.
Well, yeah, I just have a few small jobs to do at the moment, bilge pumps and things, and I go sailing. I go up to Kilrush first to have a couple of reasons. My brother Jim is up there, and that's I want to sail to Kilrush. It's just about 100 miles up the coast, and then I'll sail down around the Azores and back to do my 2,000-mile trip.
So when are you going to do the Azores trip? When's that going to happen?
I'd say about 4 weeks before. You get better wind at the end of the summer. I'm looking to sail in strong winds, and maybe about 4 weeks. And my family will come with me before, maybe for a few trips, just locally around the coast. And then
okay, so you do the Azores trip this year. Then what next year?
Yeah, next year I'm going to lift the boat out for the winter and soda blast it and dry it out. And then once I can get everything ready in time, I'll enter the Ostar next year and go to America. Yeah.
Okay. I think James got a question. Oh, you're going to have whiskey on board? He wants to know, Stephen Eddy wants to know whether you're going to have dingle whiskey. You're going to have plenty of dingle whiskey. Okay.
I think I'll have
cut your teeth. Gurav. Okay, how are you physically and mentally preparing for the race? How are you physically and mentally preparing for the race?
Physically, I'm trying my best. And mentally, I'm training to be a druid, which I think will stand to me a lot. I do transcendental meditation as well. But I think the druid thing will be a big help.
Okay, so we got one here from from Mark Dyson. Because you saw did you listen to Susie's interview, that podcast that Susie Goodall did last week? Did you hear that?
No, yes, I have looked at it a few times. I just haven't time. Time is one of my problems. But I'm going to sit down. I will need a spare hour to listen to it properly.
Okay, it's worth a listen to. But anyway, he asked, what's your opinion on drogues, warps, and other storm tactics?
So far, I don't think I'll use them. I'd rather drive the boat on through the weather. But I will have them on board in case I do need them. You know, you never say never, but so far, they're not on my agenda. They're not. Yeah, I'd rather drive the boat on.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting, because I'm, just gearing up my little mini for the transatlantic, and I'm thinking, I'll probably take warps, but maybe I should take a little drogue just in case. I mean, I would probably never use it, but a little boat's different again. Every boat is different. Every sea state is different. Every situation is different. So, yeah, it's always an interesting subject. Okay, I got another one here from Leopold Kleppo. Do you have an original idea for sleep management in your journey, and how and if so, what's the plan for your sleep management?
Well, sailing down from Amsterdam to Les Sables and back home to Ireland was the longest I ever did single-handed. But it amazed me, like there was no issue in sleeping. I'd sleep for about 10 minutes, a quarter of an hour, and it took me a while to cop on. You just have to get up, like as if you're getting up to go to the loo, check what you need to check, and go back and rest again. I would set an alarm, but I actually woke up, I'd say 99% of the time, without the alarm going off. And then during the day, because the boat steers itself, you have quite a lot of time to rest and read and do other things. So it was very restful. I'm looking forward to going to the Azores for a rest and sailing.
Yeah, I'm just looking forward to go sailing. That's another story. So you're going to have a leprechaun on board, because I've got to decide whether I want to put that in the notice of race.
No, I don't think so.
Mike and Gay were just asking. Okay, so that's pretty cool. So, all right. Well, I really. Sorry, what was the question? What Pat think of? What's a successful ending?
Finishing well
for you?
A successful ending is to finish well. And I don't mean like to finish well in a place is important, but to feel I did my best. Like for 9 months to be pushing yourself day after day, I don't know, will I be able to do that? And if I do that well and push the boat to the best of my ability, that will be a successful outcome. And finishing, of course, will be success.
Okay.
If you don't, you don't.
Okay. What was the one thing that triggered you or tripped you over the edge to make you decide to do the race?
As a child, I remember my father bringing me to Conor O'Brien's grave. And I knew he was impressed with it. And then when he did the trip, so I suppose it was in my dream, even though a lot of memories came back since I entered that I had forgotten. Good memories now. But it was deep down there. Since I was young, I watched the transatlantic races and I imagined building a plywood boat to enter around 40 foot and try, which was a pipe dream because there was not much money in Ireland at that time. But it's been there forever. And the Golden Globe just reawoke the dream. It was gone. You know, it was gone way back. And it's really lovely to get a chance to do it now. But it was there forever.
Yeah. Okay. So it's probably because it's accessible. It's not a Vendée Globe and it's not a huge expense. I mean, it's still a lot of money. Don't get me wrong, but it's achievable. So on that basis, by the sound of what you just said, when the GGR is over, you're going to have to build a Mini 580, a Globe 580, because that's plywood and it's even cheaper. So you can join the seniors division later on after you've finished the Golden Globe. Okay.
Okay. I missed a bit of that. Yeah, sorry.
Okay. Anything else you want to say, Pat, before we wrap it up?
No, just thank you to everyone who helped me, like the people who gave me prizes for my raffle and who gave me donations early in the time when I had a Facebook collection, and other people, you know, it's, yeah, all the local people here. There's a potter back the road, Louis Mulcahy's, they've given me prizes at Dingle Skellig Hotel, and they've just volunteered, Dingle Crystal and that, like, so I'd like to thank everyone who has been so good to me, making it possible.
Yeah, cool. The luck of the Irish, they say. So we're very happy to have an Irish entry in the race, Pat. So we'll look forward to catching up again, eh?
Yeah, thank you, Dan. Thank you.
Okay, no worries. Thanks, Pat. We'll speak again. We'll probably have another round once we get through the 26 entrants. We'll probably loop it, and you'll be on again. It's like every 6 months. Anyway, all good. Okay, thanks, Pat. We'll see you again later.
Bye.
Yep. Okay. See you. Bye-bye. Okay. So that's it. And next week we'll have Graham, and then the following week we'll have Edward. So yeah, Jane says sorry, Edward. Edward was meant to be a bit of a mix-up here, but anyway, all good. And Graham's going to be fun. For those who didn't get it, his brother is the guy who won the America's Cup. Graham has actually done some serious sailing around the world on a few different occasions and different boats, and it's going to be quite fun. So see you next week. Thanks very much, and we'll say bye.